Hi, and welcome to the third lecture of Intro to Israeli Taxation for Alim Chadashim. Just to remind you, for those who don't remember me yet, I'm Elena, and I'm an Israeli CPA, and I'm working in Israel for 9 years already. And if you have any questions or want to consult with me or want to discuss with me something about your taxes in Israel, you're welcome to email me. And in this lecture, we will talk a bit more about the practice. We talked about the law and the rules and the tax rates and the benefits applicable, but how do they work in practice? You are Oleh Hadash, you came, you accepted your job offer. So how would your employer know that you are a new immigrant and you are eligible to the tax benefit for an additional credit points? Or how would your employer know that you have, 5 kids and you are eligible to a lot of credit points? So every year and on every new job, the employer should give you this form. Looks a bit scary, but it's not. It's just 2-pager. It's called Form 101, 101, כרטיס עובד, employee's card, and you fill in the information about yourselves, about your spouse, about your kids. You answer all the questions, whether you are a lone parent, how many kids do you have, when did you made Aliyah, have you served in the army, and things like this. And basically, that's why you don't need to remember which benefits are you eligible to. When you fill in this form, it will provide you a good indication that if they ask something, probably there is a benefit for it. And also for every new employer, bring a copy of your Teudat Oleh, like it's a new immigrant certificate that Ministry of Absorption representative will issue you in the airport when you arrive. It looks like this. It looks like this small blue passport. Okay, do you have to file the tax return? This, I know that you're coming from different countries, and for example, in the US, every person should file a tax return, and in many countries, you do not need to file the tax return when you are only an employee, and Israel is also following the second route. You don't need to file the tax return if you only have a taxable income for which the tax was withheld already by the employer or by the other payment source. So if you only have Israeli salary and maybe dividends interest for which the tax was withheld, and foreign passive income and active income earned abroad during the first 10 years for Olim Chadashim, or you don't need to file a tax return. But you need to file a tax return if you're an individual entrepreneur, even if you didn't have any income. You need to file the return if you're selling or renting out the apartment in Israel. And if you have other taxable income for which, for some reason, Israeli tax is due but was not withheld. You need to file the tax return by April 30th of the next year. Usually you are doing it through one of the certified public accountants, like it's called Roe Hashbon. And usually all the CPAs have an agreement with tax authorities to extend the deadline. So ultimately you will submit the tax return until October, November next year, even December sometimes. But most of you who will work as employees would not need to submit the tax return. Let's talk about a couple of concepts and a couple of papers that may save you a lot of money. First is Tium Mas, tax equalization, and the second is tax refund. What's Tium Mas? You remember we talked about the ladder, the brackets of the tax. So your tax is growing with the growth of your annual income, your marginal tax, you're taxed on the next piece of your salary. What happens if you work in more than one place? First of all, your first employer, your main employer, will follow the ladder and apply all the credit points to you. On the second employer and third employer during the year, technically, how would they know what your other income is? They have no way of knowing it if you don't submit them tax equalization. So technically, if you indicate in the form 101 that it's not your main employer, that you are employed somewhere else as well, and you're obliged to do it, and you don't provide the tax equalization paper to them, they will withhold the maximum rate. They will withhold 47%, which is not nice. So what do you need to do? I put here a link to the TUMAS. You put TUMAS. Probably you will not need to do it for the next couple of years, but you need to know this. For the situation, if you work for 2, 3, 4 employers, you go to the tax authority's website and you fill in the form, you fill in your estimated salary in one place, estimated salary in the second place, your credit points, other credits, other benefits available, and it calculates you the rate, the average rate at which your second, third, or fourth employer should pay tax for you. So that's important, that saves you money. What happens if you don't inform? You fill in the form 101, and to each employer, you just indicate, you are my main and only employer. What will happen? You will underpay tax, because they will both apply credit points to you, and they will both start with the low rates, the low brackets. In the end of the day, you will underpay the tax, and tax authorities will see it in their computer, and they will come for you. And honestly, tax authorities in Israel are quite good in auditing and in automatic auditing of the files of the taxpayers, both individuals and corporates. So, long story short, if you are employed in more than one places in Israel, go to the tax authority's website and do a TUMAS and provide it to your second, third, fourth, fifth employer. Second thing is a nice thing, is a tax refund. So he is actually getting money back from the tax authorities. Yeah. How can you do it? If for some reason you have overpaid the tax, you can get it back by filing the tax return. You will have to file the tax return. In which situation you may have a right to refund the tax. For example, if your salary has changed, how the employer calculates the tax which it withholds from your salary? They estimate your annual income based on your monthly salary. They calculate the average rate, and they will withhold every month based on the average rate. So for example, if your salary suddenly went down, you probably have overpaid taxes because the estimation of the average rate was based on the higher income. Or if you were employed for only a part of the year, because again, the employers calculated based on the full year. Or if you have more than one work and you didn't provide the TUMAS, so the second employer withheld the maximum rate, you have a right to refund. Other situation, maybe if you are both the employee and you also are an individual entrepreneur and there is a loss in your business, you may get a refund for this. So what you need to do in this case, you need to get forms 106. It's a summary of all your revenues for the last year and all the taxes paid from all employers. It's available usually somewhere in January, February from every employer, and it's good practice to collect them and to keep them. So that's it. In the next session, we will discuss a very important issue, which other payments and taxes are applicable to your salary, and how to understand from your gross salary, which is provided in the employment offer and in your employment contract, how much money will you get in practice in your wallet in the end of the month.